So great. So welcome everyone to this next Facebook and YouTube Live. It's always a pleasure spending time with you. So today we're going to be focusing something that I think you'll find very helpful. One of the things that seems to restrict our experience of life, seems to cause all sorts of unnecessary problems, is the fact that we live in story rather than being life itself, or rather than living, relating to what actually is. If you think about it, you have a story about money. You have a story about relationships. You have a story about how capable you are or not. You have a story about all your problems, and you even have a story about each specific one. And when we have a story about anything, what we do is we see the world through the filter of the story. And we are on the lookout for things that validate the story, and we ignore everything else. And this becomes a self-reinforcing loop that can trap us into things that really aren't to our advantages, that really aren't to our advantage. An example is in addiction. If we think we are addicted, we'll act like we are addicted. Now, of course, if we're denying addiction, that's part of the same story. We know we're addicted, but we're in denial of it. But once we've accepted this label of I'm addicted to whatever it is, or I'm not good enough, or I'm the type of person who, whatever it is, that becomes a limit. It's not an actual limit, but it's an imaginary limit that we live within. And you've probably heard the story about how they train elephants, but I'll tell you the abridged version. When elephants are very young, they tie a rope around them that's a certain length, because they don't want to have to, as they get older, they don't want to have to schlep around these big chains to hold the elephant in place. So as a young elephant, it gets used to a certain degree of freedom, and then it hits the rope. And they never need to switch to chains, because the young elephant, as it matures, has learned and has an inner story about how it can't go beyond it. And we're all like that elephant. Now, with an elephant, there's not that much of a story. There's just more of a feeling sense. But the same thing is true with our stories. They feel true. They feel real. They feel important. They feel meaningful. And they actually feel like they are limiting us. But it's actually never true. We're never limited by a story. It just appears that way. So a very powerful way to free yourself is to examine the stories that you tell yourself, especially the ones that are recurring, that you tell yourself the most, and start to see through them. The more you let go of your stories, the more you see through them, the less limits there are on life. Now, there's something else too, and some of this you've probably heard before, not just from the Sedona method, but from many teachers. Well, there's something else to be aware of about stories, is that all stories combined are based on just one story. And that's the story of me, the story that I'm a person over here and you're a person over there, that I'm the subject and everything else is the objects. That story isn't often recognized or challenged. It's just assumed to be true. So it's also very helpful and very powerful to examine that overarching story that you're a person, that you're limited, that you have stories that you can hold on to or release. And as that is seen through, the whole sense of the contraction within the body that goes along with that story can dissolve. And then if that overarching hook or story dissolves, all the other stories are weakened. Most of them just simply disappear. So let's explore that together. So in this moment, could you just simply pause or stop and notice what's apparently happening? There is already beingness now, which actually needs no story to be. And then allow yourself to think of one of the stories that you've been telling yourself that now seems like the truth, that you no longer recognize as a story. You think it's about you or who you are. And could you just simply welcome it as best you can? Let it be here. And then could you welcome too any sense that that's personal, about you or who you are? And then could you also welcome any wanting to fix it or change it or control it or understand it or do anything with or about it? Now, I've been talking about those three things: the story itself, the wanting to fix it or change it, and the sense that it's you, that it's personal, that you own it, as three separate things. But what if all of that is just simply a story based on the belief in a separate you? And could you welcome that too, at least as a possibility? What if who you think you are is based on memory, is based on a story? Just entertaining that as a possibility can help something relax and open inside. That which truly is, which is beyond the sense of me, resonates with this message. And in that resonance, there's a sense of freedom, a sense of openness. What if, just what if, the story that bears your name, the one you think you're living, is just that? It's just a story. It's not the truth. It's not real. It's just an appearance. What if, just what if, there is one energy appearing as everything? What if all that appears is already boundless, already freedom, never bound, even by our most intense stories? What if this, whatever is apparently happening right now, is enough, is already whole, already complete, already free? And again, allow yourself to focus on that same story or any other story that has appeared to hold you back in any way. And could you just simply welcome it, allow it, be present with it? Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And also, is there any sense of wanting to fix it, wanting to change it, wanting to control it, wanting to do something with or about it? And if there is, could you welcome that as well? Could you allow it? Could you be present with it? Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And also check to see if there's any sense that any of that is personal about you or who you are. If there's any sense of ownership. And if there is, could you welcome that as best you can? Allow it, be present with it. Is that welcomed? Is that what's apparently happening? And what if, just what if, all of that, the details, the memories, the thoughts, the behaviors of the story, the desire to fix or change it or do something with or about it, and the sense that it's personal or about you, what if all of that is still just a story? The story of me and my life, my problems, my stories. What if, just what if, there is something beyond story? And is that whole story of me welcomed? Is it what's apparently happening? What if, just what if, There is only life. There's only one energy that is both everything and no thing in particular. And that allows for story, but is completely boundless, unbound in any way. What if there is already wholeness, already fullness, already limitless light and unconditional love? Even when stories appear. What if freedom is already? And what if this freedom that is already has nothing to do with a you? It's just what is apparently happening. It's just what is. Okay, good. So I highly recommend that you explore this and see where it leads you. You'll find that even just entertaining the possibility that any limitation you're experiencing is just a story that you're telling yourself. And if you're willing to, if you can also see that the story of me, the story of you, the story of the subject and the object, that too is just a story, and it includes all the other stories. Just as best you can, stay open to that as a possibility and notice what unfolds. So, we have a retreat coming up soon, and I highly encourage you to attend. The type of releasing we did in this release and all the things that you love about the Sedona method will be explored. And the Zoom way of doing the retreat is very powerful because you can do it right from home or right from your office, wherever you are in the world. And you'll be getting together with like-minded people from across the planet, all focusing on the freedom that is already. And that is very, very nurturing and liberating and supportive, including in these apparently challenging times. And on this retreat, we've decided to do two things. We're giving a free gift of the Letting Go Made Easy program, which is 6 videos that summarize the essence of the Sedona method. And we're offering a $69 payment plan. So we're trying to make it as easy and enticing for you as possible. So again, I highly encourage you to join us all on the next retreat. Thank you for listening or watching, and I hope to see you soon. That's all for now.